The UK government expects an increase to almost 80 million by 2051. Including those already affected by the housing shortage, nearly 20 million people will have to be accommodated somewhere. The occupants of even the most efficient buildings will consume unacceptable amounts of energy and greatly increase traffic congestion if they have to use private cars for everyday journeys. Connected Cities focuses on public transport to integrate brownfield and greenfield development into a unified system with homes and workplaces in locations connected by excellent rail services. Inspired by Ebenezer Howard's Garden Cities, the vision is for groups of settlements linked by rail corridors. Together they form a connected city. The largest town is designated the hub town. Stations up to a maximum travel time of 15 minutes from the hub are in sister towns. The towns contribute different qualities. Some will be old and some new. Some large, some small. Some expensive, some cheaper. Together they have the diversity of a city. However, to protect the countryside, the presumption in favour of sustainable development applies only in the 1 kilometre radius circles around stations called pedsheds, within which walking is the first choice of transport. Inside each pedshed will be important buildings, woods, etc., which are protected in conservation areas. The zone around the station is a pedestrian space with civic and leisure facilities. Green areas are preserved and new ones created. Covered and protected routes for pedestrians, bicycles and other small traffic run everywhere. Beyond the core is a high-density mixed-use area. Traffic runs on a circular route on which bus or self-drive taxi services link the housing. Adjacent to the railway are employment areas with office, commercial and educational uses. Family housing is medium density, low rise, in pedestrian priority villages. On the vehicle route are high streets with local shops, schools and other amenities. These principles are applied to every pedshed as local circumstances dictate. Each connected city is asked to accommodate its pro rata share of the predicted national growth. Most will find that, in addition to growth in the pedsheds of current stations, they will probably require new ones around which to build. The people of a connected city jointly decide where to accommodate the whole city's growth. In existing towns there will be a town growth zone around the station, so the town stays within its boundaries and the countryside around it is still available to residents for recreation and visual enjoyment. Conservation areas are defined. The pedestrian core. The high-density mixed-use area is linked to the town centre by a mall. Employment areas. Existing housing is retained, but outside the conservation areas, town growth zones have relaxed permitted development rules that may allow, for example, an additional storey to be added or conversion of a building to a maximum of 4 flats without formal planning permission. Traffic uses other bridges over or under the railway. Pedestrian routes are weather protected. Local centres have higher density developments. Green areas are preserved. But town growth zones will not provide all the new housing required, so some will be around new stations. The stations of new green quarters are located at the points where the rail line leaves the town. They provide excellent public transport where out-of-town facilities otherwise encourage car use. Historic and amenity features are preserved, the pedestrian core, and high-density mixed use. Employment and education, family housing, green areas, the traffic routes and weather-protected pathways, especially for the local shopping and community centres. The third option for new housing is new green towns. These are compact settlements around new railway stations, with a radius of 1 kilometre and a population of about 30,000, the same as Ebenezer Howard's Garden City, with over 40% of their land as green space. Walking, cycling and public transport are the natural form of travel, and there is limited demand for cars. As always, existing features are retained, the new station and mixed use. Employment. The villages are human in scale, small enough for the whole layout to be understood, and surrounded by green. The main vehicle route has high streets with local amenities. A new green town has its own facilities and jobs, but also easy access to the facilities of its connected city, such as hospitals, colleges, employment opportunities, retail choice, which a small town cannot provide, especially when new. This typical connected city has about 225,000 inhabitants. To accommodate its pro-rata proportion of the national growth, it must provide housing for an extra 71,000 people by 2050. If development is limited to the existing pedsheds and no greenbelt land is used, it will not be possible to accommodate pro rata growth. Even at medium densities, by 2050 there will be a shortfall of housing for 22,000 persons. If the existing ped sheds are fully developed, then all growth can be accommodated. All undeveloped land is protected as greenbelt. The addition of 2 new green towns will mean that no greenbelt land adjacent to the existing towns will be built upon. Creating new green quarters in addition to development around the current stations would house the target population comfortably at average densities. At medium densities, the choice would be either to not develop all the possible ped sheds or having greater than even growth. Densification with the town growth zone does not mean that all existing buildings are rebuilt. Conservation areas have no development, but that leaves large car parks and low-rise buildings which can be regenerated. In this example, most of the buildings in the town centre have big service yards. The present arrangement is apartments above shops at ground floor. The service yards can be roofed over, creating private garden courtyard for the residents with parking below. More stories can be added to provide additional housing. None of the new buildings are higher than the tallest existing buildings, and all the street frontages are retained. Flats have generous balconies or roof gardens. The high-density mixed-use area extends 300 metres from the station. Walking time to public transport is 2 to 4 minutes. Cars are not encouraged, but residents' car clubs exist. Protected walkways are refitted throughout the whole of the ped shed. Walkers and cyclists don't have to encounter general traffic and are always in a safe space overlooked by residents. Protected walkways ensure that rain or shine, it is easy and comfortable to move around. Walking or cycling is good for health as well as reducing carbon emissions. Connected cities can be located across the country, easily accommodating all predicted growth to beyond 2080 and providing the funding to reopen many closed rail lines. All undeveloped land will be designated green belt.